Every priest is an act of God.
But I mean, the tree falls on your house, you're not negligent, but you're still gonna have to pay for it.
They're on the town site, on the town website, all our ordinances are there. On the town website.
My fault.
Can't get. It's safe. You'll get fined.
Okay.
What do you think today is going to be a long meeting or short meeting?
No problem. But if you park where you have.
What is this, this deal with that, what are we doing there?
Do what? Yeah.
So they're gonna basically come, or I saw she's here.
So how many streets do you find?
You just changing everybody out?
Yeah. Paris with some short trails, people were parking on the street and they were told to move it. But you've got a solution.
Just sell a car?
You know that. You have there, that would be pushed back 2 feet. Or if you make a little niche.
Is the town gonna push that back for me?
He's handling the tire, you got the lug nuts.
Just a little bit harder. Pardon?
That would be.
No, they're in place, all you gotta do is push them.
But you could do that. Little niche area where you could park, then as long as the car's not on the.
Does he have enough batteries to switch them over?
You got enough back? Yeah.
I'm down to 1.
I've been there, but thousands of dollars. Every 5 minutes. See,
Put it there, yeah.
Let's get somebody.
oh.
Is he here?
What's that?
Oh.
Eric, we're ready to go.
Oh, I know, yeah.
About the thing about the chamber.
But I'd rather get Ariel back. That's okay.
I don't know if you've done any research on how many cars
Yeah, she was trying to get.
by the use of leasing cars versus rates.
We were at the Campbell game a week before. Campbell UNC.
We ready?
Mhm.
All right, let's go. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Highlands Town Board for November the 16th, 2023. As always, our first item will be a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Andy? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The next item on the agenda would be the statement of conflict of interest. If any member of the board has a conflict of interest or a conflict that they'd like to acknowledge concerning any business item tonight, please do so at this time.
Yes, sir. I've had a business relationship with Withers and Ravenel, and they're on the agenda for a contract.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And let me just clarify, Commissioner Haynes has made this declaration and I appreciate it. But technically that is not a conflict of interest. It's him being forthcoming, but he has no business relationship at this time with that company, but I appreciate you letting us know. The next item, number 4, would be the public comment period. And you'll notice that, and I'll take responsibility for this, we've set up a table tonight instead of a podium just to see how it works. So if anyone would like to come forward now and make a public comment, we welcome your comments and we would appreciate you keeping them to between 3 and 4 minutes. So I'll now open up the floor for anyone who would like to come forward and make a public comment. State your name, please, for the record.
It'll be short, so I don't need to sit. My name is Michael King. I'm
Please.
from Mirror Lake.
Please sit and speak into the microphone.
Sit in that.
Okay.
Great. I could get used to this. to be
Yeah.
honest. My name is Michael King. I live in Mirror Lake. What else can I say? Other than I wanted to commend to you the work of the town board, the planning board on the dark sky initiative light restrictions they're going to do on the commercial properties. And I was going to ask you to please encourage them to also look into correcting or amending the light pollution restrictions in your code. I think it's 633D to as they apply to residential units as well. I think just the commercial side of it will not bring the stars back to Highlands. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
congratulations to all 3 of the people I voted for.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else who'd like to make a comment?
My name is Elizabeth Ann Wilson, and I live at 719 Dillard Road. My father built the house I live in 1925. That was before even the Highlands Country Club was built or anyone knew about OEI. I have been sick for several months and have undergone surgery and am recuperating. And I was devastated to learn about what the town wants to do to build a sidewalk in front of my house. I don't need this stress in my life right now with what I'm going through. And I cannot stress enough to the board the danger of Highway 106 now. Nobody really knows what happens there every day, except probably me, because I'm the closest to the road of anyone who lives there. Last summer, there was a very serious accident in the curb above my house that stopped traffic for several hours. And on my end of the road, traffic had to be rerouted through the Cobb Road onto the Franklin Road. If this should happen today, I don't think the town has enough policemen available to cover it. I am very, very, very concerned about this sidewalk and feel that it will not improve anything, but make everything worse. And I know that everybody wants a sidewalk, but I don't, and I'm sorry to say so. I feel like that there is not enough foot traffic to warrant a sidewalk. And I'd like to ask the board, how many of y'all have ever walked down 106 to the Highlands Country Club and back? Anyone?
I have.
You have? Okay, well, I'm glad to see somebody has. I used to walk the road since I was a child, but I wouldn't do it now because it's too dangerous. Also, my concerns are that there's always constant traffic on the road, day and night. And the speeding is very bad on this road. And now that all the big trucks come down that way, it's even worse. I am also concerned that people turn around in my driveway all the time. I had 2 people do it today. I'm also very concerned about the water runoff because my house is below the road. And so therefore, when it rains, which I wish it would, that the ground absorbs the water. But whenever you put a sidewalk there, there's no absorption. It's all going to come right down into my house. And I also have an 80-year-old crabapple tree that I do not want cut down at all. And then there's also the bears and the deers. I have a creek on my property, and so the bears come over there to drink. So that's another thing. And all summer long, I had a bus from OEI stop in my driveway and let off employees who live across the road from me. Now, if a bus can let off an employee in the afternoon, why can't they go and pick them up in the mornings? Seems to me like that this would be more feasible for the town if OEI would just buy another bus and take their employees to work instead of wanting a sidewalk for them to walk on. I would love to see the plans or the whatever you're doing on this sidewalk, because I have been contacted by no one ever. And I felt like there should have been a public meeting or something said to the people in town who own property and homes. Nothing's ever been said to me. So I would love to see something that's going and know what's going on. Since I've been sick and had surgery, I don't know what's going on because I haven't been able to get a paper and read it. So anyway, I would love for y'all to please consider my concerns because I think they are legitimate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who'd like to make a public comment?
Good evening. I'm Steve Mader. I'm here representing Highlands Festival. I just wanted to extend for the rest of the board and myself, the thanks for the town, including the fire department, including the police department, the transportation, sanitation people, and everybody involved in helping us make a successful food and wine festival. Then one good thing we were able to do is bring in about a half an inch of rain over the weekend. But hopefully that will, going forward, we'll be able to have a great event going forward. So I want to thank you all very much for allowing us to have the festival.
Thank you, Steve. By the way, half an inch isn't enough.
Well, it'd be 0.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing none, let's move on now to our next item, and that would be to review and approve the agenda. Do we have any changes to the proposed agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Okay. Second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand, saying aye. Thank you very much. Okay. The approval of the October 19th regular meeting minutes. Do we have any corrections, clarifications, or additions to those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, very good. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. All right, the next item will be reports, starting with the mayor's report. So let me go over several items. Number one, the fire and drought status. We still have those declarations in place. I was kidding Steve just a minute ago about the rain. That was a nice respite for the firefighters to help kind of get an upper hand on some of those major forest fires, but we still have drought conditions. Josh Ward was saying we might be getting some significant rain later on in the week. Let's pray that we do, because we really need it for our water and for fighting any potential fires. I will say this, we have had our police and fire departments responding together to a number of reported fires during this period. We had one construction company that was burning scrap lumber on a construction site here in Highlands this past week, and they were issued a citation because we just cannot run the risk of having a major fire breakout during these critical periods. That applies to the entire Highlands Fire District, and it also applies to the entire Western Carolina region. Citizens are urged, if you see any potential fire activity, to call 911, and the police or law enforcement and firefighters will respond. We put up signs before the Food and Wine Festival. I want to thank Amy and her sister Cookie that helped Buzz put up some temporary signs during that time. And then we worked with Commissioner Dotson and the town manager, quickly putting up a number of signs indicating that we are in a mandatory situation when it comes to water, and we have a fire ban. Those are permanent signs, and the idea is that we will retain those signs, keep them at the fire department. So if we do have another situation like this, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We'll just put those signs out. Steve was talking about the Food and Wine Festival, especially with the main event on Saturday. I was running and ran throughout the town looking at the parking, and our parking was full, except there were a few spaces available. But if that festival ever got larger, the idea of doing shuttle parking from here, the conference center, where there would be more available parking would be an option. And then Big Bear Pen Road. This DOT announced that they would be clearing the right of way for construction. a number of days ago. They started that last week by closing the road off from Upper Lake down to Chestnut during working hours, and a company came in and started that process of removing trees that would be in the right of way and also vegetative material. We were told today by DOT that that process will come to an end more than likely on Tuesday of next week before Thanksgiving, thank goodness. They will open the road at that time. The next step will be during the winter, all the companies that have communication lines on the existing utility poles and our crews that have, of course, the power lines, all of that will have to be relocated during the winter. We have new poles in place, so it'll be a matter of DOT notifying these companies about the requirement to relocate on the poles, and we will be relocating the electrical lines also. Once that is done, sometimes in the spring, they will come back and actually start the paving process by cutting back on parts of the curves where the right-of-way is, and then doing the paving. So this is going to be a protracted process because all of these steps have to be hit. The reason they started the removal of the trees and so forth, we have a bat moratorium and other moratoriums where they can't remove vegetated materials except a certain time in the year. This time of the year fell within the time where they could do that work, and they did it. So it'll be a phased process before we see the completion of the Big Bear Pen project. Mirror Lake, people keep asking me and Josh and Lamar and others sometimes about, well, when will we see the dredging equipment? It will be very much like the process that we're going through even tonight with item number 13, approving the design contract and so forth. We are waiting for the conditions of the state grant that we get. So it will be a process that will go in phases, and don't expect that dredging equipment to be there in the next 6 weeks or so. That's not going to happen. We have to go through steps, planning, design, and so forth. One of the big issues that I would like to make people aware of with the election that we've had and some resignations and so forth, we will be replacing some folks on the different town committees. I call them citizens committees, and I encourage anyone who would like to serve on a committee to come to the town hall, ask for an application. We're taking applications. We'll review those and start filling those positions. Hopefully by the first of the year, we will have made those decisions. And then three other things. If you see some people working around your water meter in town, the chances are they're the company that is now replacing 1/3 of the water meters in town. They do this pretty quickly. There might be some disruption of water for a short period of time, but they're now going around town and replacing 1/3 of the meters. Then they'll do another third next year and so forth, until all the meters have been replaced. Then finally, 2 items. The pool and ice skating. I'm not a big devotee of social media, but I've heard there's been a lot of talk about our situation with the ice skating rink and using water to fill the ice skating rink. Let me just update you on a couple of things. We had been working with a company to address some repair and maintenance issues on our swimming pool at the rec park. We've been waiting on that for 6 months, and they knocked on the door pretty recently or said, we're coming to do these repairs and you'll have to drain your pool. Josh and I and Lester, our recreation director, we sat down and talked and said, you know, that'd be kind of a waste of water right now to be doing that, because we'd have to fill up the pool again and it would be hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. We contacted the company and said, can you delay this until spring? And they have agreed to do that. So we will not drain the pool. We're having some issues with the heating unit right now that we're trying to quickly, resolve. But we did not drain the pool because we wanted to conserve water. As for the ice skating rink, we were hoping that we would have that up by the food festival, wine and food festival. When we went to install it, and I want to really give a shout out to our town workers in Leicester, they do a really great job of installing that ice skating rink every year. They discovered that there were some major lines that feed the glycol to the ice from the compressor, and those would not hold the pressure and were letting glycol leak, and they had to, stop. They've had to order some new types of hoses. They've been able to make those repairs, and by Thanksgiving or even earlier, they will have the ice skating rink going. Some people have been concerned that we're wasting water, and it's a judgment call. The ice skating rink is about 3 inches to 3.5 inches of water, but a lot of that is displaced by all of the tubing and everything the glycol goes through to freeze it. So it is a small amount of water compared to if you're replacing, the water in a pool. The other thing is it's a one-time event during the ice skating season. They'll fill the rink up, freeze the ice. The only other time they'll use water is periodically they'll take a garden hose with a little mister and just kind of mist over the area and make the surface smooth. So that was a decision that we made, that because this rink will be operating all the way to the 1st of March and people really anticipate ice skating, we went ahead and did that installation. And then finally, I want to go over something and just share with you my idea and with the board too. Just recently, one of my friends who's a business person had a pretty frank conversation with the mayor saying that I, and almost all the people on the board, do not really support business in this town. And I listened and heard this person say his piece about this and how concerned he was and so forth. I did not argue or try to debate or challenge. I just listened and said, I hear what your concerns are. I was thinking about reaching out to that person and sitting down and saying, what do you really mean? What are we doing that doesn't support businesses? And I decided that maybe I need to publicly share this concern with everyone and also invite the business community. If you feel like we're not seeing the need to support our businesses or how we could support the businesses, I invite them to give me feedback, or any of the town board members or the incoming, elected town board of commissioner, Jeff Weller. Let us know, give us some feedback about how you think that we might be missing supporting the business community in Highlands. And what I would propose is after the new year, with the beginning of a new board, that we will have some sessions where we will look at some of these concerns and see how we can, address any concerns that people in the business community might have. So from here until the beginning of January, I invite people to either call me as the mayor at my telephone number. It's on my website, Ask Mayor Pat, or share it there, or come by and talk to me at my office, or talk with the people here, on this board about your concerns, and we'll record those and then share them with the other members of the board and the community, and let's have a discussion on how we can address some of those concerns. So that's one of the things that I wanted to propose tonight. And with that, I will turn it over to any of the commissioners who would like to give updates or committee reports.
I just have one, and that's to mention that the Macon County Economic Development Commission met in Highlands last week, and Kay at the chamber gave a great update and background on tourism in Highlands. Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm. Well, it's very good.
Mayor, I just wanted to congratulate Brian and Buzz and Jeff and thank Kay and Rachel for running. Congratulations.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely correct, Commissioner Haynes. Anyone who's willing to run for public office, it should be acknowledged as a real, actual community service.
It's good that younger people are doing it.
Yes,
too,
it
Mayor.
is.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Okay, our town managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first thing is, if you remember, we're not supposed to be in this building for this meeting. We're supposed to have some remodeling done in here for ADA and kitchen remodels. We've had an issue with finding bidders for this project, so Lester has been continuing to work with the architect on, getting the word out, rebidding it. And so we've got some interest right now from some outside contractors. So hopefully we'll have some bids for you, hopefully maybe in December meeting, if not January. So it's going to be delayed a little bit for the shutdown here, but hopefully we find somebody that's willing to come in and do the work for us. Also, the mayor mentioned the pool heater. We did get a text today from someone who was upset that the heater had been out for the last week or two. Lester has been contacting a number of different companies. Come to find out, this heater is an older heater that is very difficult to find someone to work on. So they came up this week and realized that there was a little bit more to the issues with the heater. So he's going to be giving Lester some quotes on repairing the heater, as well as replacing the heater, as well as actually a new concept where they add 3 smaller heaters that work in series that actually, if one goes out, you still got 2 heaters, I think would be the best, but we just got to wait to see exactly, what the costs are there. So we'll let you know that as we go forward, and hopefully we get a solution pretty soon. As the mayor mentioned, the repairs to the pool, we talked with Lester, felt like it could hold off the spring. So he's got that scheduled for the spring. So sometime, hopefully we get rain. We don't have the water restrictions in the spring. We'll drain the pool, do the repairs, and fill it back up. And that is 160,000 gallons of water. So it is a great amount of water. So we definitely didn't want to use that during this time. The ice rink, as the mayor mentioned, it should open on Monday for the Thanksgiving week. Also, with all of our signs that we put out, Raven County allowed us to use one of their electronic message boards down on Highway 106. I think with the issues we've had recently, as well as COVID and some other issues, that Halloween and some things that we could use one of those signs for each and every year, I think it would be wise to purchase a couple of those. So Chief Holland is looking at some numbers for those, and hopefully use some of her grant money that's upcoming in the first of the year, maybe to purchase one. We've also got the fire department looking at some sites that sell used ones, and that's what Raven County had done, is picked up some used ones, hopefully to pick up 2. I think it'd be good to have 2 for emergency events, for our events that we have on Main Street where we have to shut down. So we're looking for some of those, so you might see that budget amendment come up at some point in time. Also, I did hear finally from the DOT that Wingina and Upper Lake Road, the request for the town to take those over, that is going to be on the DOT's agenda in Raleigh in December. So hopefully we'll know by the 1st of January whether they're handing those over to us. That way we can get them scheduled to improve those and pave those in the spring. Also, Town Hall will be closed next Thursday and Friday, the 23rd and 24th, for the Thanksgiving holiday.
But garbage service will continue, correct? And I forgot to touch on one more thing of information. At the Food and Wine Festival Saturday night, somebody sent me a photograph, and there was water at the intersection of 106 and Main Street. And it is the mysterious water leak that is periodic in the town. And let me just describe to you, it's right now, it's not a major leak. And especially given the traffic and everything that was occurring during the Wine and Food Festival, we weren't about to, unless it was a major gusher, we weren't going to shut the road down. And Lamar and Josh and I, we've had this conversation. That leak went away on Monday morning and stopped. So we don't know what's going on. But here's the problem. The asphalt on those roads is about 2 inches thick. An attempt was made a while back to try to pinpoint that leak, and they had to drill through 24 inches of asphalt, went down another 4 feet to the water line, and there was no evidence of a leak. So it's one of those things that we're watching it, we're monitoring it. If it becomes a major problem, then we'll have to take major action by cutting off water to that part of the town, like over at Wright Square, and probably, well, not probably, shutting down parts of the road for that major excavation. But that's just something that our public works people in water department, they are aware of that leak and they're monitoring it and waiting to see what develops. But it is a strange, am I not right, mysterious leak, Josh, that it's hard
It
to,
comes and goes.
it's kind of like a geyser. Yeah.
Interesting that it started last week for a few days during this dry weather, but again, they tried to, I think, drill down in there and looked at one section, and like Lamar says, until it blows out, there's really no way to dig up the entire intersection looking for the leak. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Our next item would be the consent agenda. Do we have any questions concerning the items in the consent agenda?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. The next item will be the Chamber of Commerce building lease. Let me give some background. I know Kay McCann is here. She might want to come and sit down and explain the Chamber's concern. We had the temporary lease plan, and we drew up a lease for 1 year while we kind of look at the issue of a full-time lease and some other issues that are a part of the idea of paying for bathroom cleaning and other related items. We sent the lease to the chamber and they expressed concerns about certain provisions in the lease. And I'd like, Kay, would you like to come and talk about it, or?
I wasn't here to talk.
Oh, you weren't? Okay, well.
I was just here to listen. I tried to attend the meeting.
Okay.
Item 3 was removed, which is negotiations in good faith. And then item 29 was added, which basically says that you guys could tell us to move out in 60 days, I believe it was. So we just asked that the good faith negotiations be put back in, and that item number 29 be originally, when I received it, my understanding was that nothing had been changed on the lease. And then when I went through and compared the leases, found 2 changes. So we're happy to sign it, but we expected it to be the original lease.
Okay. Bob, would you like to weigh in?
Yes. So paragraph 29, I found out in going back, had actually been added in a proposed lease by my predecessor. That provision would give the town the right to terminate by giving 90 days notice. Given that it's only a 1-year lease, I see no real downside in removing that proposal, that section that would give the town 90 days. Let me also say, as a matter, these are business terms, right? I'm not advocating or advising you as a matter of law that you have to or you don't have to include these provisions, but I'm explaining how they got in and what the thought process was. So paragraph 29, again, I did not notice had been added by my predecessor in the proposed renewed lease. I don't see a problem in taking it out because it's a 1-year lease. The other provision that I did take out, which was in the last 10-year lease, was an obligation to negotiate a renewal in good faith. Given that the town board has expressed an interest in negotiating if some things could be worked out, lease payments as opposed to a free lease. I thought it was a good idea to take it out because it kind of connotes an intent to negotiate on the same terms. And this 1-year lease, a term of the lease is that there's no rent. And given that I had knowledge that the town was pursuing a solution that would include rent, I decided to take it out. I don't think it's legally significant whether it's in or out. If it's not in the lease, it does not preclude the parties from negotiating a new lease. And even if it's in, I don't think it obligates the town to actually renew the lease. But as I said, I thought it was worth taking out because it does kind of connote an intent to negotiate a renewal on the same terms. And I knew that that was not the board's intent.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
For a 1-year lease, I would take it out and just have for a 1-year continuation of what the lease was historically.
You're talking about number 29.
Correct.
I agree. I think it certainly puts the chamber, again, like our attorney says, it's for 1 year. I think the chances of this happening are slim to none, but it certainly puts the chamber in a negative position as far as knowing where they're going to be at least for the next year.
Okay. And there's one other provision there.
Yeah, I would remove that provision too.
Okay. What you're saying, remove both provisions that were called into question.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're actually going to reinstate.
So it's just the one then. It's just the one.
It's just removing one and adding one back.
Yes.
Okay.
I would almost agree with our attorney on the number 3, because that verbiage even says negotiating good faith concerning the renewal of this lease for an additional term of years and the condition of such renewal. And I do think that connotates that we would renew under the current terms. To me, I default certainly to our attorney on what the definition of condition means in that particular instance. But it specifies terms of years and doesn't specify anything about other additional terms unless the word condition means that.
Well, I think it's because it's an option to renew, which implies that it's renewed exactly like it is now. To me anyway, and I understand what.
Well, I agree with that too.
And I don't think we should do that. I agree with our attorney that it puts them on notice that there will be negotiations.
By removing this.
Yeah, I guess.
I agree.
Would anyone like to make a motion on?
I mean, you could reword it, that we would have good faith negotiations, but no option to renew just on.
Exactly. Yeah.
On the, you're right, on the existing lease.
Yeah, I agree. We could certainly change the language of that. Not even have the option to renew good faith negotiation part in there and just say no later than 90 days before the dates set for expiration term of the lease parties agree to negotiate in good faith.
Concerning the renewal.
A lease, not a renewal.
Right.
Because you refer to a renewal, then you're essentially saying we're renewing what we've got.
Oh, I see, take the renewal out of the
Right.
next to the last line too.
Yeah. Negotiate in good faith for a new term or something.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion on these modifications.
I'll make a motion that we delete number 29 for the
Okay.
period of the upcoming year. And for number 3, that we insert the verbiage only, no later than 90 days for the date set for the expiration of the term of this lease, the parties agreed to negotiate in good faith this lease, good faith, a lease for an additional term of years and the condition of such renewal,
A lease.
a lease.
Okay.
Taking out the implication that it's still a zero rent lease.
Bob, you understand what the motion is?
Yeah, yes, let me just tweak it a little bit. I clearly understand the intent.
Okay.
So strike the phrase option to renew at the beginning of the clause
In good faith, yes.
and just say good faith negotiations. No later than 90 days before the date of the expiration of the term of this lease, the parties agree to negotiate in good faith a new lease.
Okay, a new lease.
I mean, that just means that you'll have conversations, but it doesn't connote what the terms will be of that lease. Or when using the word renewal, and that was the reason I took it out. Using the term renewal suggests that it's going to be renewed on the same terms.
Okay. Both of that captured
Absolutely.
motion. Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have any further discussion?
Second.
You have a second. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Thank you very much.
Mayor, can I ask one question?
Yes.
So I can't remember what month, but the old lease has expired and they are tenants right now as a holdover. We've been talking about this for 3 or 4 months, I believe. And when you last voted on it, we were contemplating the 1-year term to begin that following month. And I just want clarification. Is the board's intent for this to be a 1-year lease from now? Or is it a 1-year lease from when you first voted to approve it? And I have no preference, but I just want clarity.
I feel like since the lease was not signed, it would begin at the time of both parties signing. Yeah. Okay. It would start then once we all, both parties signed, Bob. Okay.
Okay, that's the clarification I needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item, Mountaintop Rotary Craft Show request, Jim Spencer.
Mr. Podium.
Well, you got a chair, man. Sit down with the microphone.
Thank you.
Microphone. Yeah, please.
Good evening.
Mhm.
As you are most likely aware, Mountaintop Rotary has been putting on the craft show for almost 30 years in some shape or form, more likely 10 years the way it is now, with using this Friday setup, Saturday and Sunday, the show twice a year in June and then in August. We have been doing very well, but in talking to our key vendors, our ones that have been there many, many years, as well as a lot of the visitors, we're finding people don't really like to shop or show up Sunday. They're busy packing and ready to go home. So the vendors agreed that they'd be very interested in moving the show to Friday, Saturday, as opposed to Saturday, Sunday. And that's the request that I'm here to talk about with then a Thursday setup.
And the Thursday would be after lunch in the afternoon on Thursday to start.
We
the
would
setup.
probably be marking it in the morning as we
Yeah,
do,
sure.
and then the setup would be Thursday, yes.
Okay. And by the way, since I am a participant, I am not a vendor. I am an artist.
Yes. Artiste.
Art goes hand in hand.
Do you have any preferences?
No, I was just gonna ask what the mayor had asked. We always close that out before daylight in the morning, because if you let people start parking in there, you got workers, you got to do all that, so the police department comes in. As far as scheduling, that works fine with us.
Okay.
Don't have a problem with it.
That's true.
I think the other advantage, we have a number of churches in that area.
Mhm.
It would free up
Right.
parking and things for them on Sunday.
We don't have any more announcements of towing from the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the moving the Mountaintop Rotary Craft Show to Friday, Saturday schedule with Thursday set up.
Okay. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim. Our next item is the Hotwire Communications update. In our contract with Hotwire, there's built-in periods where Hotwire will come back to the board and update the board on where the contract is and what they're doing. So we have tonight with Hotwire, Mr. Mike Hall and Sue to come and talk about where they are with the fiber network.
Good evening, and thanks for having us here. I know quite a few of you, and we appreciate the opportunity to give you an update since the last time we did this presentation. I believe the presentation's up, right?
There you go.
Okay. I'm fine.
You sure? You can control.
Unless you're gonna need it. Oh, I can control it. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that way you got it pulled up.
Yeah.
You just click right here and it's obviously that goes that way.
All right, very good. Thank you. So we're going to go over these are the topics: capital investment timeline, capital investment projection, the maintenance plan, and what's going on with the legacy. I call it the legacy wireless network, broadband network. So we showed this the last time, but obviously it's been updated. I won't go through the lighter gray, but the darker gray. There's been quite a few things that have happened since the last time we were here. Highlands Mountain Club, we completed an 80+ unit build in that community. We did a complimentary Wi-Fi upgrade. I was happy to see Jim Spencer. I didn't get a chance to say hi to him, but he, along with the Food and Wine and some of the other festivals, were very appreciative of the fact that we did a pretty big upgrade in Kelsey Hutchinson Founders Park. And thanks to the town board and the work with Matt Schuler, and we were able to get that accomplished. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from that. We also supplied some free TV service to the fire department. We're very proud to be partners in that aspect. And 2 weeks ago, we did our ribbon cutting for the storefront right off of 4th Street. It was well attended. Thank you to the mayor, and thank you to Kay and the chamber and all you've done with us. And certainly we appreciate all the support we've gotten from the community. I'll leave the other two items to be talked about with Sue, and she'll be talking about what's planned for 2024 from a build out of the network here in the town.
So earlier in the year, we completed the upgrade to the legacy, the wireless system for all the folks that are working off of that. So that was done earlier in 2023. And since taking over the network, we have about 50% of the customers have moved, either converted or there have been some disconnects as well. So there's information in here on that. But I think what everybody's really interested in is, the plans for building out within the service area. I'm going to jump to the next, to the map. So this is the service area, as is the two communities you see, Ravenel and Highlands Mountain Club. Those were completed over the last 2 years. Planned for 2024 are all the yellow circles. That's what we're looking at. And then there's 3 circles there's different ovals, some different shapes in there that are orange and dotted. And those we planned, but as we've started to design them, we've run into just some where we've been pretty much told to get out. So I want to just go back and go through, what it is we're working on here. So a couple of other things before I, go into that is, and we're continuing to work with Haywood Electric, going back and forth with their legal team to get a poll agreement with them. So this way we can start to work on those. Now, since we don't have the poll agreement at this point in time, we have not included any of those, but once we do get it, we will take a look and add those, add those in.
And we just got an update right before we came in from our attorney that said they're just waiting on Haywood's attorney. And even Haywood's president is pushing for a response. It's imminent. I would think within the next couple of weeks, we'll be finished with that. And now we'll have an opportunity to start.
So let me like, for example, the folks on Rainbow Road who on Haywood, with this agreement, then you could send service to that
Correct.
street. Okay.
And there's, I think, a section down Dillard Road that's also served by Haywood that will open it up for us. And it is currently being served by us through the part, through the network we got from you, through the wireless service. But because it's wireless, we're able to get to it. We won't be able to get to it with our fiber until we get that pole agreement in place that we can put the fiber down.
Okay.
Yep. We're in the beginning stages to get a pole agreement with Duke Power as well. And then what we're showing here. So, we have, what do we have here? 9 number of communities here. We do have some good news because we have started working on these. So we received notification this morning that Brockport was completed. So we'll be contacting the residents there. We have many orders from many of the folks that are in there to get them installed. And then we're working on the rest of these. They're either in the design phase or we are getting those scheduled with our contractors to start to begin to build those, and we'll continue to build throughout next year. And like I said, we'll continue to add to this as we continue to move along. What we're really looking for is, the criteria that we used this year to get into this was where we could service customers who were on the legacy network. So this way we could move folks off of the legacy network. And then, when we were here at the last board meeting, we talked about that we are looking to see where we're going to have interest, and we needed another season of residents coming back. So this way we could, really judge that. So this is what we've built it off of. And that's what we're going to continue to work off of, is building out to the neighborhoods where we have the most interest.
Can I just elaborate that one of the challenges we're having from a sales side is we have all the addresses. We don't have the resident owner or their contact information. So our approach has been trying to reach out to the HOAs and the presidents of those, or anybody on the board that might be known. And that's where we're running into some pushback. If that particular person doesn't want Hotwire in their neighborhood, they're blocking us. So anything we can get from anyone here, we have a QR code that we're going to show you towards the end, that if people will provide their information, we can do a reach out. And pretty much most people that we reach do want our service. It's just, we don't know who they are. And, being a seasonal town, this is going to really hurt us in the next few months, not being able to get a hold of some of these folks.
And then the last line that I have on here is that all communities that would sign a bulk contract with us would be built in 2024. And that is exactly what Ravenel and Highlands Mountain Club did. So we contracted with their HOA, a bulk agreement. And so then everybody within the community receives the service, and we built out to those two. So that's those are the two communities within Highlands where we did that. And then, because again, if we're going by whoever's on the wireless and then on by interest, we've gotten the commitment from the HOA, and we sign an agreement with them. So in the next slide is these few other places where we were looking to build, and as we went out there, we've received some pushback. And so we don't necessarily need to discuss this here, but if there's anything that we can do to work with you to help us, that would be that would be, great. We would appreciate that. But over on Worley Road, in Old Highlands Park and in Fairway Condos,
So again, to elaborate a little bit, there may be residents in those communities that want our service, and they could be the very ones that are vocal to you saying that we won't build. It's we want to build, but we're getting pushback from an individual or two that said they won't allow us in for one reason or another. And we can take that offline and give you some examples.
Okay. And then again, there's the map showing the different communities that we just mentioned, went through. Overall, as we look into 2024, any investment into the head end at this point, we're working this really through our our continual maintenance. We continue to do capacity checks, planning any system upgrades. Nothing is really planned at this point. Like, so we invested quite a bit at the end of 22 and the beginning of this year into upgrading at the at those wireless sites, so we can provide better service to the customers out there. But we're as we see, if there is anything that comes up, we will build that into the budget. But as we were putting this together, we really didn't see where there was any capital investment needed within the head end. Overall, to also look at the maintenance summary for next year. At this point, we have about 100,000 for initial maintenance planned for 2024. If anything else comes up, and that's really to keep up with any work that's identified by the town. I heard you talking before about the road widening, and moving over on poles, that type of stuff. Anything that comes up there, storms come through, anything needs to get done. That's where we'll be. So we'll make sure that everything is taken care of at timely, so we're not holding anything up. And if there's, again, as we continue to work through, because it's with the wireless system that we have, obviously our goal is to move everybody that's within the service area over onto the new fiber and get that taken care of. However, we do know that there are, at this point, I'll just go to that slide, there's 66 people that we don't, they're out of the service area where that are remaining on the network. And we know that there's not any, great options out there. So this is where we're looking. We want to, keep that service running, as long as we can. So that's what we're, we'll continue to look at that and to monitor that to make sure.
And that may include an upgrade in equipment for those particular individuals, but they really truly are outside of the service area.
But we know that folks want to, stay with us. So we're looking to see what we can do there. And that, I think, is pretty much it, getting into them reaching us.
So, excuse me. So I put reaching us in there. We're doing a lot, as much as we can, I believe. We have 8 full-time staff here. That includes our technicians, our plant guys, and then our storefront manager and 2 sales folks. And we now have a presence. It's all labeled and signed and branded. We do some wonderful advertising here with the Highlands newspaper. We're wonderful partners with the chamber, and we're real pleased with that. So the next thing I'll show you is we do have a QR code, and we have a local website and a local phone number. It's a toll-free number because we wanted it to be reached by anybody that wanted to call it. But if you were to scan that QR code, it'll take you to the Highlands Hotwire website. And on there, you'll see a beautiful picture of Main Street. It'll show you where we're located from a storefront, and it'll show you the 3 salespeople that are here and how you can provide some information to us. And then I guarantee you, between Emily, Will, and Jeremy, we're calling people as soon as they express interest, and then we do a serviceability check. And certainly, if they're within the town limits, we're trying to do what we can to get them, hot wire fiber. And I think that's it. Questions?
I'll entertain questions from the board or anyone else who would like to make a comment. I know, I'll just bring this up. In the original contract, the commitment from Hotwire was to build the underground portions. I know that I've gotten feedback from places like Hardscrabble and Brushy Face about when that will happen, if it'll happen, what is the status on some of those?
Both of those are slated for we're designing those and getting the work planned on those now. So they're scheduled for between now and into 2024.
Okay. What level of commitment are you requiring? Because, you know, I know from a business standpoint, you don't want to build something where you just have one person, but what type of commitment are you requiring? And I think the people on the board would be interested in knowing those kind of details.
Well, we'll give you, ideally, we'd love to get everybody into bulk contracts,
Yes.
and that's the grand slam out of the park. You know, down from that, if we're able to reach the folks that are in the neighborhood and we know that we have 80%, then definitely we'll move forward that way. It's also, you know, depends on how many people there are in the neighborhood, you know, as well. But we typically look, you know, to 50, 33%. Certainly there's language in the contracts. We want to make sure, that's what we said, we want to, you know, get out there for the commitment. So certainly we do have, we've heard from a lot of the folks that are, you know, in Brushy Face and, you know, Brockport, these, you know, hard scrabble. So, and I've seen it spelled both ways. So if I have it spelled on here incorrectly, I do apologize, but I went back and forth. And so with hard scrabble bridge, we, you know, we have that in here too. So we'll, like I said, it's imminent now. We either have it designed or it's being designed, and then we're going to start to work on it.
Okay.
I think you may have also heard from some folks though, also in the Fairway condos, and that's where we've received some pushback.
No, Tom would like to make a comment.
Is it okay for me to talk?
Yeah, sure.
I represent Hard Scrabble. I'm the president of the Property Owners Association, and we were offered a contract from Hotwire that was financially unfeasible. Basically, it was a take it or leave it situation. We have a lot of our lots were bought by the next door neighbor, and they're never planned to be built out. And the contract said that we would be under a 4% increase per year until every lot had a house on it. And that will never happen in Hardscrabble. And we have conduits. It would have been very cheap to do, and I had every sense that they did not want to do our neighborhood. And the problem was that all of a sudden Starlink showed up. And so everybody said, okay, just forget about Parkwire, let's start going with Starlink. And so we have about 3 or 4 people that have already started with Starlink, and they love the service. And it's a lot cheaper than what Hardscrabble, than Hotwire was going to give us. We would have a 4% raise indefinitely because we would never be able to get out of the contract to fulfill having a house in every lot. So I just had the feeling that it was too much trouble for them.
Sure. If I can respond?
Sure.
I apologize for that experience, and neither one of us is aware of what contract you're referring to. So I wouldn't mind speaking. I know, but I meant we weren't involved.
It's like $115 a month for the residents and then $40 a month for any vacant lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 4%
And 4% increase without any limits.
Which is
Understood.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and, you know, we've had some changes as well, and that's where we've been, you know, looking at what, you know, really what we need to do to provide
business opportunity for business to start with because you're counselor.
Yes and no. Starlink is a satellite service and is susceptible to a lot of problems. So I won't debate that with you, but we're 100% fiber to your home, and the service uptime is, you know, can be compared. We are aware of people that are trying to use Starlink in some other neighborhoods, and the trees and the weather are creating some problems for them.
Wonderful service.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions of Mike?
Mike, could you give me an email address? I think we've got one person who says you can't get them to call back. A lot of times when you call back and it's a foreign number, people don't answer. And if you could give me an email address, I wanted to connect you with somebody who's interested. And then I wanted to ask, I think Will does a good job, but when he came to my house, he wanted a conduit. He wanted me to bury a conduit, which makes sense. But you can't find anybody to do that, you know?
Right.
That's impossible. So what is y'all's policy now?
So the conduit on your property?
From the pole to my house. Yeah. Isn't that what we're doing?
We do that.
Well, this is when This is when y'all first started. He wanted me to
Okay.
do it.
There
So,
may have just been some misunderstanding.
so that's not the policy anymore?
No,
Okay.
no.
So you bury it in a conduit or you bury it, or just bury the cable?
I don't know the answer to that.
We'll bury cable.
Right.
If conduit's there, we'll use it. We don't necessarily always run it through, not.
Well, I understand why he wanted it, but couldn't find anybody to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Matt, you have any comment?
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all very much.
We thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate y'all coming in.
Thank you.
Look forward to the next briefing.
Thank you.
All right, our next item will be the playground committee update. I know Brian Steeler, Commissioner Steeler, has been working on this and been heading this committee up, and I'm very excited about the presentation. And I know we have Jeff here too, our commissioner-elect.
Well, kind of, let me give you a background real quick, and a lot of you know this story, but we had an anonymous donor come forward, last year and donated $50,000 for a new playground in Highlands. So, what we did is we, put Lester and I, part of the recreation committee, put together a committee that Jeff is serving on, Kim is serving on, as well as a few other people in the community. And so we worked with a company called Carolina Parks and Play on developing some plans. The area we're looking at is at the rec park. And so what you're seeing here, this is the existing restrooms, okay? These are the tennis courts. This area, these are existing trees, and kind of this area back here is the existing playground, okay? Up here, it's not pictured, but this is the skateboard park. Okay, down here is actually right where this sits, is one of the pavilions. Okay. Does everybody kind of see where we're at? So the whole point of what we're trying to accomplish today is to get the board's consensus and approval of the site and what we're trying to do here before we continue to move on. So kind of give you the playground, and Jeff, please interrupt me here. We're doing a lot of natural elements, like as you see, there's slides here that it's actually made out of concrete, but it's a tree log. Okay, and then we're actually going to work with the biological station in here. Where exactly? I can't think where it's somewhere down here. We have a large hellbender salamander that kids can climb on, and then there'll be a scavenger hunt throughout that the biological station is going to help us with in the nature center about finding, the Highlands related animals and whatnot. So kind of like an educational piece to it too. So, and that's kind of what you see a B right on that one, but we're going to do more Highlands related stuff.
The biggest thing about this that I find the most exciting is it is all inclusive. So when you walk onto it, there's not a section for somebody that's limited abilities and a section for full abilities. It's intermingled, and you really can't tell between one or the other, whether or not you have physical handicaps, or in some cases mental handicaps having to do with surfaces, etc. Or you're fully able. It's all inclusive. It's wheelchair accessible. It is, and there's equipment to be used either on a wheelchair or if you need assistance. So that, to me, from one end to the other, regardless of where you can go everywhere on this, regardless of abilities, which I think is absolutely critical.
So what
means two people?
Yeah. So what our plan is in Kay with the chamber, they're going to help us with the fundraising component of that. So the plan is, if you all approve the concept here, the plan is we're going to work this winter on developing the fundraising plan and roll that out in the spring. So we have a very aggressive plan that's going to involve funding from a number of different sources, mostly privately, and we're going to hit it hard and raise the money. So
as well as the county.
Yes. So Jeff serves as the chairman of the Macon County Recreation Committee. So he served this committee very well in that regard, so.
So what is the money?
I'm sorry?
What is the money?
We're looking at some sticker shock, about 1.6 million.
So we just did I had the same exact reaction. We did a master plan recently for the Franklin rec park there around the Bob Carpenter building. And there's a playground plan there in phase 2B. Right now we're on 1A. We still have 1B, 2A to go before we get to 2B. And the same thing, I had a sticker shock on it. It came in and they estimated it at 1.4. So I'm still convinced that a third of the cost of it is insurance because it's such a high liability item. But with that said, this is you can go cheaper, but then it's not all inclusive. So this is a hard rubber surface, a soft rubber surface on top of a hard surface below. It's completely concrete curbed, so you don't have to worry about eating it up with a weed eater or mower. It's a long-term solution, and these solutions, unfortunately, like the rubber surface versus mulch or anything else, is significantly more expensive. But
just trivia, so like the price of all this equipment, that's the exact same cost of just the surface alone.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're looking at this playground, that's about $400,000 or $500,000 expense, is that pour and play rubberized playground.
And what's the lifespan of the pour and play?
Well, it's pretty much for I mean, it not on like
well, not in my lifetime.
Yeah,
But
or more even that.
Yeah, for the rubber surface, and then it can be refreshed.
Then they refresh.
Yeah, it's got a UV coated polymer.
But it also meets or exceeds obviously all of the safety requirements, while still being rollable.
And obviously, I'm gonna leave these up here for y'all to look at, but do you have any questions for us or what?
The picnic pavilion that's there now, down in the hole, so to speak, it's going away, I take it?
Stays.
Oh, this is on the upper end of that, so it's kind of on the down slope to it.
And you really can't see, you can kind of see this here.
Right.
So we also had concerns from people about the heat of things, because I realize it's cool in Highlands, but the sun is hot. So you worry about surfaces, et cetera. So it's
light surface.
But also, and we're talking about going with like green and blue, so it looks like waterways. If it's green, it's not tan. This was just, but then like here down that hill is actually what they call a roller slide. So it's a bunch of little neoprene rollers that you roll down, basically. It's like a conveyor belt almost. So it's just kind of cool. But
We're taking the hillside, kind of like this, in a way, sort of like the way the slides were at the school back in
yeah, using the grades and terrain that's there rather than trying to reshape it to fit something. We're fitting this to the grades and terrain.
What's the square footage?
It's about 13,000 square feet. It's big. It's a big area, but a lot of that is just open play.
Yes.
Yeah, but because you have safety zones around every piece of equipment.
And so you can see like the use of like the more natural looking materials.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the Billy Hawkins slide here, where this tree is leaning up against it.
You need 3 or 4 trees leaning up.
Really, you might want to fund that.
And some brush in the bottom.
Yeah.
And let me emphasize, this is not a unitary funding source. This is a community project. The chamber, the county, the town, and the generosity of a lot of donors that want to promote the welfare and health and happiness of our young people.
I don't know, I might try that roller slide.
Yeah. That sounds like something you could lose
Young and
weight
hot,
on,
right?
huh?
Young and
So
hot.
Eric just sent me a text a week or two ago. He was in Blowing Rock, and so he sent me, not knowing that this was the same company that did the Blowing Rock playground. He sent me these pictures. He said, "This is the company y'all need to work with." Because he said like the playground, like, I mean, you want to elaborate on that?
No, I mean, it was great. It's they have it set up. It's well, like just the road and everything. It was wonderful, and it was completely packed with kids.
And they don't have, but we're doing the salamander. The Blowing Rock playground has a giant trout, rainbow trout.
Yeah.
Lester, do you have anything you can think of you want to add to this? So we got a great group, and we're really looking forward to starting the fundraising aspect of it.
So what we need for your committee from the board is that we want you to move forward with the
Exactly,
plan.
that you agree with
Because
it.
we own the property, town owns the
The
property.
property, we own the property and we're saying, move forward with the plan. And then we can talk about money and everything at a later date as we see a clearer picture.
The lighter surface is, is there a texture to that?
It's a non-slip rubber.
Okay, so we're not worried about the skateboarders saying.
Well, actually, that's one thing I'll point out. The way we had it, is we had a walkway going through it.
Mhm.
It's being revised to where when you come from the parking lot, you're gonna go around a fence to get to the skate park, so kids aren't trying to skate through it, because you don't use a skateboard on it.
Yeah, that was
Right,
my
so we're actually
concern.
doing a concrete sidewalk around the perimeter that gets you to the skate park, to the parking lot without going through it. And actually on that back downhill side, we actually wouldn't even have a gate just to keep kids from rolling, using the skateboards to go through this to get to the skate park. There's no way to get to the skate park except around it.
Cool.
So, yeah. Right now, this still shows the sidewalk, but that's going on.
Any questions? Comments?
Thank y'all.
Looks
Do we
gorgeous.
need a
yeah.
motion saying we endorse the plan and direction? Did we do
Motion
that?
or consensus?
Yeah, or just consensus? Okay, move forward.
Thank
All
you.
right, very good. Thank you, Brian.
I
Thank you,
thought you had a
Jeff.
new
Thank you.
And Kay,
putt thing or something.
everybody that's working on this. Very exciting. All right,
Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Kim.
very
And
important.
Lester, definitely. Thank you, Lester.
Okay, the next item 13 is financial matters, the Dog Mountain Waterline Replacement Design Contract, Josh Ward.
Well, it's taken us a little over a year to get to this point with the Dog Mountain project, but we finally got the environmental and engineering report approved by the state. It took about 4 or 5 months to do. Now we need to move forward with the design phase of the project. We've got a proposal here in your packet that's including the design, the permitting, as well as the construction oversight from Withers Ravenel. And you have that cost in there, $668,000. So we need to have the budget amendment approved for that so we can move forward. And then also, any project that is going to go between budget cycles, which this one will, it's already went through one, needs to have a project ordinance. And our auditors wanted to make sure that this project and any other project that we do has the project ordinance, so we will need to have that approved as well.
I move to approve the contract with Withers Ravenel in the amount of $668,000.
Second.
Second, any further discussion?
So this is just for their part of it. This isn't construction.
No, this is their part, but it includes design, permitting, and construction oversight. And when the actual proposal that was put together to apply for the grant, when broken down, I looked at this and sent it to Lamar, and I actually called them and they looked at it. Actually, this is less than, if you would take everything in their proposal out, this is actually less than that. Because they're thinking they're saving some money throughout the process. So this is actually less than what they had in the proposal that went for the grant. It gives them some leeway in case some things come up that are unforeseen.
Okay. Any other questions before I call the question? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you. All right, the next item, the Dog Mountain Budget Amendment.
I move to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $668,000.
Second that.
All right, all in favor, please raise your hand and signify by saying aye.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then finally, the Dog Mountain Project Ordinance. You have in your packet.
Because it goes on more than one fiscal year.
Right.
We approved the project budget ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. All right, our next item will be the town streetlight policy. Josh Ward.
So we've been talking about the streetlight policy and the work sessions, so we put it together here. The only thing added to that was, I believe Buzz brought up number 4, approval of all adjacent property owners and homeowner association, if applicable, must be obtained prior to submitting an application for installation of a town streetlight. Lamar and I talked today, it might be good to put public streets, because I think we agreed that not to install them on private streets. Lamar, did you have anything to add to that?
No, that's.
So just number 4 is clarified by saying it had to be on a public street.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We had reviewed this in our workshop, and I'd entertain a motion with the provision add public streets.
I make a motion to approve the town streetlight policy as presented.
Second.
Second.
You're gonna say what you-
Did we capture the word on public?
Yeah,
streets?
it's okay, yeah, to include
Okay, we got
public
it.
streets.
Okay, all right, very good. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor?
Signify by, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't remember number 4. I know I'm getting older. Approval of all adjacent property owners or homeowner association, if applicable, must be obtained prior to submitting an application for installation on a public street. That's what we've added. Why would anybody submit an application for a street light on?
Well, I'll give you an
You're
example.
saying if somebody,
You can have a subdivision or a neighborhood
Wanted
on a
it.
public street. Yeah.
okay,
For example, Pine
light's starting
Crest
to go on.
is a subdivision, but it is a public street.
Okay,
Okay.
click.
Now I'll call the question. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Thank you. And then finally, the item 15, UDO amendments, section 6.5.3, exterior commercial lighting. Michael Mathis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be quick. This was brought up in the workshop last month. Of course, what is in red under accent lighting is what the planning board has amended and proposed. And then, of course, Commissioner Dotson had brought up at the bottom, we did strike under the laser light provision for outdoor advertising or continuous entertainment, meaning they would have to come seek a permit from the board to utilize laser lights. Besides that, I don't believe anything else has changed, and I'm here in front of you tonight to ask to set a public hearing for the December 14th meeting of this board, which will be next month's meeting. And I already checked with the paper, since Thanksgiving falls on Thursday, to meet the advertising requirements to 2 times. They will be posting the paper on Wednesday. So we should be able to meet that. We'll have an advertisement for this coming Wednesday, and then the next Thursday, and we'll meet the statutory requirement for advertising an ordinance amendment.
Okay. Any questions of Michael?
Is that okay with y'all? Having a short meeting? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'll be
Okay.
under old business.
Okay.
Or we can move it to January. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
well, y'all just said it would be.
That's,
Okay. Hey, y'all said you wanted a short meeting so we could get out of there. so-
Well, I anticipate this being short.
Okay.
Okay. Have a
Okay.
motion for the public hearing.
So we make a motion that we have a public hearing on the UDO amendments for lighting set for December during the December regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That gets to the end of the agenda. If there are no other comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? They are. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.